How to befriend your favorite internet star, Part 1. Dan sat down in his black spiny chair, turning on his computer. As he sat down comfortably, his mug of tea sitting by him on his desk, once his computer had loaded and he was logged on, he went straight to Google, typing in YouTube. As Dan's favorite site popped up, he moved a piece of brown hair from his eyes and typed in his username, Dan is not on fire, into the sign-in part of the site. As he typed in his password, Dan took a sip of his warm mug of tea, licking his lips afterwards. Dan scrolled a little to his subscriptions and noticed straight away that AmazingPhil had uploaded a new video. Dan did a little happy dance as he clicked on the video and watched the young woman, man, who was only 4 years older than him, move around the tiny screen, his trusty line behind him, little annotations coming up whenever Phil did something worth a comment. Dan giggled as he watched, almost choking on his tea a few times. When the video had finished, Dan scrolled down and clicked on the comment box, typing his comment on how Phil was his favorite YouTuber and how he almost made him choke on his tea. Dan sighed. He would love to be friends with the AmazingPhil. Dan finished watching all the other videos people had uploaded and refreshed the homepage one more time. When the page fully loaded, Dan saw that he had a new comment. Clicking on it, he saw who it was from. Phil. It was from the AmazingPhil. Dan started fangirling on the inside, practically jumping in his chair as he eagerly read the reply. Dan is on fire. Thank you so much for liking my videos. I'm sorry I almost made you choke. Dan giggled. Yes, giggled, as he read it. Quickly taking a screenshot of the reply to post on Twitter, Dan proceeded to open a new tab and log into Twitter using the same username as his YouTube one. He posted the picture mentioning Phil to show his appreciation, even though he was sure Phil would not even look at his tweet. The tweet Dan sent simply said, @AmazingPhil, oh my god, you replied, made my day. Dan scrolled through Twitter, but stopped when it said he had a new mention. He scrolled back up and clicked on his mentions, only to see a reply from another and the AmazingPhil. @Dan is not on fire. Haha, yay! You're from Manchester? Dan could have screamed. He was fangirling hard. He then reread the tweet and registered what Phil had asked. @AmazingPhil. Yes, I am. Dan waited eagerly for a reply, not sure if he'd even get one. A few minutes later, however, he did. Dan is on fire. I noticed your username and icon. I see all my daily booth pictures. Dan read the mention and blushed. He had been trying to get Phil's attention for a few weeks now. The second part of his plan was to reply to all Phil's daily booth pictures with a picture of himself. Weird. To try and get him to notice him and recognize him. Dan gained the courage to reply, hoping he didn't sound like a fangirl. @AmazingPhil. Sorry, ... I just wanted you to notice me. Phil replied almost immediately. Dan is on fire. LOL, it worked. A second after receiving the reply, Dan got another notification. There was Phil's picture and his username that said, he has followed you. Dan squeaked. Squeak. Phil had actually followed him back. He replied quickly, @AmazingPhil. Thanks for the follow, because that would not set up a red flag. Dan is on fire. Haha, no problem. ? Hey, have you got a Skype? @AmazingPhil. I do. My username is Dan is not on fire. Dan is on fire. Can I add you? @AmazingPhil. Oh my god. Yes. Dan is on fire and Facebook. @AmazingPhil. My name is Dan. Yeah. Dan is on fire. Awesome. Speak soon. Dan didn't get a reply to his last tweet, but he didn't care because pretty soon he got a message from Skype telling him AmazingPhil wanted to add him as a contact. Yeah.